thought I was in trouble when I was going to have to follow a cardiologist. And then they did that to me. Selfishly, I'm not pleased, but that was pretty great. So, when someone comes to hear these kind of addresses and an audience like this and sit here, and especially when these addresses are filmed and visually recorded with the expectation they're going to be saved and last to the end of the age, there's an expectation, and it's for something of expertise. I don't know if I have any real expertise to share this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Instead, what I was hoping to talk about is maybe a route to expertise. And it's a pretty safe route, because even if it doesn't lead to that kind of expertise that we're talking about, it can still lead to a really satisfying relationship with the world around you. It helps you kind of maybe find your place in the world. Maybe. Because I propose to talk about curiosity. And not the kind of the storybook monkey who has a friend with the yellow hat guy, and not the kind that kills kittens. That was the bad. But I was thinking maybe the kind of curiosity that's like a deep desire to know. You know? One that drives us to explore, to investigate. One that really pushes us to try to understand things. It's a desire for knowledge and understanding. And I feel like the stakes are high. I think the stakes are really high. I think what's at stake is what true education is. I think it's the source of innovation. I think it's the foundation of our civilization. I think actually is pretty much really what is the very essence of being human. If you've been in my class, some of this might sound kind of familiar a little bit, I hope, maybe. But the last 13 years, I've had a lot of opportunity to comment on student work. You know, and whether it's writing letters of recommendation for colleges, or whether it's comments in report cards, my favorite ones invariably are the ones that I'm able to honestly say that they have an intellectual curiosity that manifests itself in a willingness to engage ideas. I think that's the point of school. And I think that's important because, you know, a lot of people in this room are in school, and even if you're not, those of us who've already finished have spent a lot of time in school. Not maybe as much as Dr. Malinow, but it's like 27 years I was doing the math right, and I started counting kindergarten, but all of a sudden it started adds up, you know? A huge chunk of our life. And I think that warrants asking, why do we do that? You know? Just for the record, some of us are teachers and are crazy enough to spend our whole lives in school. So the why even gets more important. And I think there's a fallacy of why in our culture. I think that we think about the next level way too much. You know? I have a kid in elementary school, and I want him to learn how to learn so he can be successful in middle school, right? And I'm a middle schooler, and I want him to get in the habit of making good grades, so it'll make him in high school. And all my high school students, I want them to get good grades, so they can go to a good college. And then you go to a good college, you get a good job. And well, all of those things are good and true, and, you know, very important. I don't want to discount them. I think that they are the byproduct of successful experience in education, not the reason for education itself. And I think what we're trying to talk about here, at least in my opinion, this kind of curiosity leads to a lifelong learner. And I was going to give you a few minutes to, well, an explanation of what it means and looks like in my life. And this is kind of a what not to do, perhaps. But in my own life, this looks like it results in projects and obsessions. And I would start at the beginning, but I don't exactly remember the beginning. But I think that it starts off with you watch kids play, right? They're always not just wasting time, but they're trying to see out what happens, you know? The littlest kids are dropping things on the ground and think it's a great joke because they invoke gravity. And we kind of dismiss that, but gravity is awesome. right? If you think how long you should go out tonight after it gets dark and look up at the sky and try to figure out why you're not floating away. You know? And so we do that when we're kids. We drop a bunch of things on the ground, we stack things up, we knock them over, and it's awesome. I'm not much different myself. My projects have changed a little bit. I guess a good place to start would be 8 years ago. I go to Mr. Mankey's cabin out in the lower school, and I say, dude, I need to learn how to make fire with sticks. He says, okay. Who says okay to that? He did. And I figured out how to make fire with sticks. And there's a recurring theme here of danger. And I kind of liked it already. And there's also a theme of magic. Right? You look at a flame, and you try to figure out what exactly is going on there. I've asked science teachers, they explain it to me, but it doesn't take away the magic, you know? And I think that's part of this curiosity that's really important. It's also taking things to the next level. As soon as he taught me how to make fire, we were talking about making a forge. I got this popular science magazine, and it showed me how to take a brake drum, which is kind of like a big metal bowl, and put it inside another metal bowl, like a kitchen sink, a stainless steel kitchen sink. I put that in this rolling overhead projector cart. Now, I just realized that I was speaking to 17-year-olds. Y'all may not know what overhead projectors are. Do y'all? Sort of. There are these things that you can sit down and it would like show. That was pretty amazing in its own way. How it would bounce up there and it would shoot the projector up like on the screen like that. But there were these rolling carts. And they had a big hole cut out, and it's just the right size for putting a forge into. Maybe. And now we're talking about all of a sudden the kind of fire that you can crank up a few notches. The kind of fire that gets so hot you can melt metal, you can bend metal, which is pretty awesome and still dangerous. And then I thought, you know what, I got heat. What we need to do is we need to make sharp objects. That was like the obvious next way to go with this. So I made a series of draw knives, and this draw knife is pretty much a two-handle knife, and to make things really great, you pull it toward yourself. So, everybody's really, yeah. All right, anyway, but the real thing about these knives is there's a whole other mystery to it, because bending metal is one thing. Making something that looks like a knife is a whole other thing. But you go ask Mr. Mankey, his face will light up when you ask him about tempering metal. So, bending metal requires metal to be somewhat malleable, right? But then you want it to be rigid enough so it'll hold an edge. But then again, you want to be able to sharpen it, right? So it's got to kind of walk that line. So this idea of tempering has a scientific aspect to it, but it's also about how the molecules of metal line up. But also it's this, again, back to that mystery, like gravity, or wonder. The kind of thing that's blowing your minds in some place. So, after the sharp object, I needed some projectiles. So I took my draw knife and I started trying to make bows. And this is when I learned about the trickster. Mr. Mankey tried to explain to me about the trickster, but I didn't know what he was talking about until you meet failure when you start to undertake curious pursuits, you know. So I made these bows, and I was like, hey, look, I made a bow. And I was going to show Theodore how I shoot this arrow. And you pull it back and think there's cracks, you know, like, oh, man, it was like, 30 hours, but then you try again, and again, and again. And eventually you make one, and it's pretty cool. And all of a sudden you've got this arc of pursuit, you know. It started with making fire, making a forge, making a knife, making a bow. You have these people that helped you, right? You've got Mr. Mankey that helped you. You've got these books that helped you. You've got Mr. Adams over here that helped you. You've got kind of an arc way of an experience. And you get to live multiple lives that way. It's part of just being curious about different things, you know. I figured out how to make a pizza oven out of mud out of my backyard. And I made a boat out of plywood. I gardened just to keep things a little bit simpler, but you want to blow your mind. Watch what happens when a seed gets wet. When you leave it in the ground for a couple of weeks. And then it can take light, sunlight, and make all the energy that the rest of this whole world runs on. It's pretty awesome. And then Mr. Rice takes me on trips. We can watch, hang out with dolphins. And it's really cool when when Mr. Rice calls you and says, there's a dead alligator in my trunk, dead alligator in my trunk, a dead alligator in my trunk, and I need your help. And you're sitting to yourself, you're going, man, I've made it, you know? I wasn't the first person he called, but Mr. Menke was already on the way. I was the second, and I was like, there's nothing else I need more in my life than to go skin an alligator and collect its bones for the comparative anatomy class. But I got to pretend like I was a biologist then. Mr. Menke allowed me to pretend like I was a primitive man. I was able to be a blacksmith, a woodworker, a bowyer, a farmer, a baker, a shipwright. You know, the most recent thing I've done is try to take apart an internal combustion engine and learn about its mysteries, right? You can play mechanic a little bit. And all this living, it turns out is dangerous, right? In a really good and real way. You get cut fingers, you get dirty hands, you get to embrace failure. It reminds me of an overprotective parent and their child, and they're leaving, and they've warned and admonished them to be safe, be safe, be safe. And as they're leaving, they yell out, YOLO, which stands for you only live once. And the kid turns around and is like, it's not a threat, but it kind of is, I don't know. On a larger scale, though, I think intellectual curiosity is the source of innovation. I think it leads to the new. You know? I think it's like the spirit of discovery, and I got some evidence to back this up. NASA has this SUV-sized rover driving around on Mars right now, and it's been doing it for the last 5 years, and it's called Curiosity. It's pretty cool, you know? Because it's not a necessity that drives people to go to Mars, right? There's something else, and I think there's maybe a higher calling. You know, necessity may lead to invention, meeting our current needs, right? Our established needs. I think curiosity leads to innovation, which I would argue is meeting needs yet to be identified. Meeting the needs yet to be identified. And I would argue that in some ways that's the foundation of our whole civilization. As our needs are now being met more and more easily, it feels like what we're doing right now is becoming more and more curious, you know? Point to the digital age, right? How quickly did they come out with that iPhone 7, right? There was nothing wrong with the iPhone 6, as I understand it. I didn't actually have one, but that's what they tell me. But they come up with another one, and it's curiosity that keeps driving this, I think. And it's like that civilization begets more civilization. Curiosity can maybe beget more curiosity. And it works exponentially. This is maybe editorializing a little bit here. From my observations. And you start to wonder, you know, where we're all going to be led on this, because it's powerful. And it takes us up to the brink, like Mr. Rice was talking about, you know, with the environmental impacts of our curiosity, right, of our civilization. With nuclear weapons that can do all sorts of damage. And it gets a little bit scary, because we've kind of brought that upon ourselves, and we have a choice, though, and I think that the solution to that scary part of things is to double down, right? Is to double down and become more curiosity, have more curiosity, to develop more intellectual curiosity and put our hope in ourselves for figuring things out in the future through that curiosity. So where does all this curiosity come from? Nothing less in the very essence of our humanity. In the last 2 years, I've read 2 different books that cite Aristotle's first line from his Metaphysics. It was written like 550 years before Christ. And he says, all men by nature desire to know. All men by nature desire to know. And he didn't really say that because I think he was writing in Greek, but that's what people translate it as. Now, I didn't really translate it in Greek. I looked at a couple of different places on it. It's still a pretty cool idea, right? It says all men, and I think that means all people. The desire for knowledge is human, right? And so then they start thinking, like, is it uniquely human? Because I've seen animals, they seem curious, like the cat again, and they explore things, and I started thinking, do animals wonder? And then I wondered if animals wondered if I wondered. And I felt like maybe my point was proven, and I was really back to this whole wonder thing, this idea of wonder, which I think is like basically where science and passion kind of come together, right? Science and enthusiasm come together, and you start looking at the stars again. And you look up there at the clock, and there's the clock right here. Look up there at the sky, and you see all those stars, and then you read these things that says there's more stars in the sky than grains of sand on all the beaches in the whole world. And I haven't done the counting on that. I think there's a whole other speech on that, on following up on those kinds of ideas, but I mean, that makes you wonder, you know? So, kind of unwrapping this idea up, it's all about this intellectual curiosity. And I think that the job of students, but really all of us, is to cultivate that intellectual curiosity. It's one of these things you can actually take care of, curate, grow, get better at, right? And I think it's pretty easy to. You can read, you can make things, you can wonder. And so, you know, I'll just kind of leave you with a simple idea is, you know, what do you wonder about? And I think that answering that question is really, really important. So, what do you wonder about?